Good morning. I'm getting ready to go into a chiropractor, so I wanted to do a quick video, and this video is about relationships. So I was with one girl for about 6 years, the second girl 25 years, married 23 years, and the second girl for 2 years so far. And what I've learned about relationships is that a relationship takes two people equally across the board. It doesn't matter. If one person feels like they're carrying the weight of another person, then that does cause a disruption in your relationship. Now, the best way to resolve that is by communication. So you both have to have an open mind to communicate with each other. So how do you, and then let's say, for example, you're trying to communicate and let's say it's just not happening. Well, there's multiple different reasons. First, myself, if I'm not able to communicate, I raise my voice. I don't yell. I just have a loud, dominant voice because I want to be heard. I need to get out what I have to say. If some people become silent, which is not good because you're suppressing your emotions, and that could cause illness and health issues. So it's important and vital to be able to communicate. What I like to do is, there's a good game that I learned. Well, I didn't learn it for this particular reason, and I've tried it a few times and it worked great. So when somebody's getting ready to speak and needs to speak, give yourself 3 levels. The first level is, I want to talk, and I don't want any reply, any comments, nothing at all. I just need to get out what I have to say. So I would say something like, I need to speak, number 1. Or let's say number 2. I need to speak, number 2, which means I'm open for questions. Okay, so I'm going to speak what I have to say, and I'm open for questions. Number 3 is, I'm going to speak, I'm open for questions, and I'm open for comments. I'm open to discuss this, I'm open to whatever. Sometimes in life, you just need to get out what you have to speak about, and then let it sit there for a minute on both parties. Let both parties sit there and think about it. And then, maybe 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, if the other party wants to address what you spoke, that's great because you now let your emotion out. But the most important thing about a relationship is the communication. If you can't communicate, it's going to bust your foundation down. There's not going to be a foundation at all. So let's say that you're with somebody and they're not receptive to communicating, or they're not able to hold communication, or it just isn't happening. So at that point, you got to look at yourself and determine, is this person with me and on my team? Are we on the same team? Because see, most important thing about a relationship, always take your relationship back to a friend status, because when you're a friend, you're communicating, right? So take your relationship back to your friend status and talk like friends, or talk in a third party point of view. Well, let me ask you a question. If this was to happen to you, what would you do? But hey, my friend mentioned this to me. Let me tell you, even though it's you, just do it on a party point of view. It'll kind of relax your emotions and allow you to be able to have a clear state of mind when you're going to this communication. If the other person is reluctant, or not able to hold a conversation, or is getting nowhere, then at that point you have to determine if this person's on your team. Well, first, there's several things you have to do. The first thing is you got to understand the other person, right? So the other person may be stuck in their ways and not willing to budge or move into having this open communication channel with each other. If the other person's stuck in their ways, you can make them aware of this. If they're not willing to change this, if they're not willing to change anything about themselves to make this relationship last, then now you have to really look at yourself and say, is this something I want to do? Do I want to continue in this type of relationship? Because what's going to happen is going to repeat itself over and over and over again, and then it's going to get worse because you're not able to get it out. You're not able to communicate. You're not resolving issues. So it's going to start getting worse and worse and worse. So the experience you're dealing with now in this communication thing, amplify that by 15, okay? 20, okay? That's what's going to happen the next time. Then go ahead and multiply that by 30. Then that's going to happen the next time. Then by 50. It's going to end up doubling its strength of frustration, aggravation, disappointment, and it's going to, next thing you know, you're not kissing each other, you're not holding each other, you're not sleeping with each other, you're just walking around in a house of misery. So that is not fun at all. At that point, if you're walking around in a house in misery, you need to look at yourself, stop, regroup, and reset, and look at yourself. If you have done everything you can to try to communicate with this person, and this person is just not willing to or able to, at that point, you got to determine if this is the life you want to live. Do you want to live like this? Keep in mind, it's going to keep amplifying. over and multiplying over and over again, the more this happens. So it's up to you to determine if this is the life you want to live. Is this life stopping you, holding you back, or preventing you from growing? Is this the life that you want to be stuck in? You want to be stuck at? You want to wake up every morning knowing that you're not going to be able to communicate with your partner? Communication is the number one key to a successful relationship. It's inevitable. It's vital. It's a need. It's a must. It's a necessity. So like I said, what I would do if you are having some, communication issues in your relationship, do the 1, 2, 3 game. Like I just said, I would like to speak, and I'm going to speak number one, which number one means I'm going to talk. I just would you like to hear? I want you to hear what I have to say, and then in 30 minutes you can come back to me and give me your thoughts on it. Once everybody, once my emotions calm down, once my feelings calm down, once I calm down from getting this out, give me 30 minutes and then come back and talk to me. Number two is I'm going to speak, and when I'm done speaking, give yourself a time limit too, because otherwise you'll just keep going and going and going. So when you're doing the speaking game, give yourself a time limit, okay? Say you have 5 minutes on the clock, or you have 3 minutes on the clock, whatever the time you need to feel that you need to get that emotion out. So, hey, I'm going to speak. I need 3 minutes on the clock with a number one. It means I'm talking for 3 minutes. You hear me out. Then we're done talking. And then in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, once everybody, once emotions are calmed down, come back to me and say, I would like to, converse with you about what you mentioned. That's great. Let's do it. And now the other person also gets to do the same thing. The other person says, I would like to reply to you with the 1, 2, or 3. Okay. Keep in mind 2 is you're open for questions, and 3, you're open for questions and comments. Focus on your communication. Communication is important, because what happens is if you don't communicate, the other person, when you're looking at the other person, you're not going to be attracted anymore, because they're not even your friend. How can they be your lover if they're not your friend? How do you guys not have a communication connection when you're sleeping with each other, or you have a life with each other, or live with each other, or dating each other, or married with each other? How can you not have a line of communication and then look at this person and still say, wow, this is my dream, this is my life, this is my love, this is my soulmate? You have to, it's imperative for the communication skill. Guarantee it. If the communications is not in place, you are presenting yourself with 100% failure in your relationship. If that happens, it happens, but just make sure that you have done everything you can to try to apply some guidelines to your communication, and that way you guys can open the channel back up. And keep in mind, if you have to, go back and be a friend. Do what you have to do. Anyways, I'm going into the chiropractic office. We'll pick up on this another day, and I hope you have a great day. Please like, comment, subscribe.